Hi, this is Miss Shepherd again. I'm here for your fourth section of this piece of work for the extended picture. Now, in my infinite wisdom, I was thinking about how you could possibly trace sections if you didn't have the pictures that you could actually cut out or tear out. And equally, I was thinking just the same, if you didn't want the original pictures with the original colours there and everything, there is nothing to stop you from tracing them and then tracing down that section and placing it where you want. Okay, like the abstract idea in the second video, and placing those sections down to work from to get these images here. So as you can see, I'm working a bit more close up at the moment, so I'm hoping this is going to work. Okay, the light is a bit dingy. Now, again, this all depends on what you have. You could, there's nothing from stopping you if you want a little bit of collage in there. And now my cat's found paper on the floor. Ooh, scared him. There's nothing to stop you from getting like bits of envelope, and you could be place them down. You'll notice there's a recurrent theme in work because I'm just trying to think about all this options of what you're likely to have, you know, out and about around your home. So you could actually be tearing out things, extending lines and having sections of collage down and still working over with paint or pencil crayons with them. So there's nothing to stop you from doing that. Or you could be tearing down pieces and just sticking them down and extending them. I mean, here is a lovely black solid line, so you might have a nice marker that you could work with. There's nothing to stop you from doing that. So don't forget, envelopes are quite good. I mean, if you think about it, you have the potential of wibbly wobbly screen again, of quite a large piece of paper that you could work on. There's nothing to say that possibly, if you watch the videos first before starting, fine. There's nothing to say that you couldn't pre-stain your background. I mean, if you wanted to do another image like this, there's nothing to stop you from pre-staining your background and working on it. I mean, like I showed you in the very first videos, from positive and negative space, you can decorate the background and draw on them, so there could be dots, all sorts of different things going on there. Anyway, waffling again. So your choices of what you've got again. So it comes to you maybe potentially having paint. So you could be looking and working with the picture that you've got and extending the colours that you have already there. Okay, so I'm not going to have the time like you do to work with this, but as you can see, I'm just trying to show you that little example. So you can extend upon that if you chose to, and you could actually try and get all those lovely bits of darks and everything. So I'm just getting the paint so I can actually be working with that and building up my layers. The nice thing about watercolours, you can pick them up fairly cheaply. Tins can be a couple of quid, which is quite nice. Oh god, I can't be doing with this screen wibbly wobbling all over the place. It's too low down. You can get them reasonably cheap, a couple of quid, maybe a fiver. Bargain Artist in Stafford. I'm not meant to be doing advertising, am I? But Bargain Artist, they do online, I think, via eBay. And they bulk buy things in, so you could potentially get some paints through them if you have the money to. The other thing that you could do, but it doesn't always work. I mean, if you think you've got like a jar of beetroot, the actual beetroot juice would make a lovely pink, but I'm not quite sure what you would use for other colours. So you might be stuck there. So you could be stuck with that, so you might not have your paints or anything like that. You could be just stuck with the fact that you're working with pencil, so you could be matching up the tones that you got with your pencil. So there's nothing to say you couldn't even mix your media again on your page, so you could be looking at mixing your tones here. Again, I think there's a worksheet. Yeah, there is a worksheet already about looking at different tonal techniques or you could actually look via YouTube if you've got access to YouTube, or you could actually just do a Google search on different types of tonal techniques and see what you can come up with there. So you could like match the tones. You could match, like in part of the picture it can go darker and lighter. There's nothing to stop you from getting it to go darker and lighter and getting those sort of zippity-do-dah sort of natural sort of lights and darks in there, and waffling again. Waffle, waffle, waffle. Okay, so that is your option. It's nice actually, I think, to have mixed media in your work. You can just give that little different effect, and you can actually create textures with it. I mean, imagine taking this and getting the brown paper from your envelope and literally pulling apart tiny pieces of paper or something with a pattern on it. Better if it matches the colour, or this would be opposite the colour, so it'd be complementary. So you can actually stick down, maybe, you know, in little small pieces. I'm not going to do it myself. So you could create textures with that building up. You can sometimes do it with, you could actually, if you had string, you could be doing edges with string. There's nothing to stop you doing that. You could be using masking tape, doesn't stick down permanently very well. You could be getting pieces of paper, you could be folding it, so you could be getting like little folds in there. It's struggling to focus. You could scrunch it up a bit, so you could have your scrunches and then scrunch it up and then stick it down in small scrunches, so you could like get some texture going on in there. So there's nothing wrong with that at all. And as I showed you before, using pencil crayons. Okay, so I've got an orange here, so I'm going to start off quite lightly with my diagonal sort of technique. Okay, I'm just looking at the time, we're sort of 7 minutes in, so we could be looking at our technique here, and you could keep it in one flat colour. It could be a bit boring. Do that. You find like a darker colour. Right, I'm just going to find some red and start building it in places as well. Okay, but not all the way through. So I could get these like patches of darks and lights going on. Yeah, and I might think, well, that's not quite dark enough. I could even get my pencil to go on top. Okay, you might actually be restricted to working with pen. Right, so I'm going to just turn this around now, because that's what happens when you're doing art. And so I think this adapts well to pen. So I could actually be starting off and matching the black. A bit difficult with pen sometimes. Don't forget cross hatching, so going one way and then the other, or you could go diagonal, so like crisscrosses, so you can get like pattern going on there if you want. And there's nothing to say that that black solid line, she says, not able to do it now, eyes are blurry. There's nothing to say that black, my pen's not working properly, hee hee, it's all going wrong, Miss Shepherd. But you could actually sort of fade out, and you can see I've got my line is disappearing. Oh, it's all going wrong, it's all going wrong, the pen doesn't want to work today. But the idea is that it would gradually fade out. Okay, so even though it's not quite the effect that I was trying to go for, but I'm trying to make it go lighter and lighter and lighter, so it can go from dark to light. So there's lots of possibilities there that you could be working with. So I hope that works for you. So that would definitely take you a double lesson or longer, depending on how detailed you go. This isn't a very detailed image, even though I've used one picture to the other. As I said, you can just use one picture. You can actually trace a section, place it down the tracing of the section and trace it onto your paper, extend it, or you could work directly from a section in a book with a piece of paper surrounding with a little cutout window. You could either get your tracing and actually trace all over your page, with the tracing section. So as I was showing you, sort of place it down one way, you could place it down the other way and move it around your page. So there's all sorts of different options what you could do, depending on what restrictions that you have. So it was about you using your imagination and trying to work out what you can do with it. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that. I quite like the image that I've got here, and I actually would like to work with it for a little bit longer. So take care. I bid you adieu.